Alright everyone, this is Ash. Welcome back to the King's Speech. So we're going to get around to some more Shonen Jump stuff today. I was initially planning on also doing some read-throughs, but I am honestly kind of frankly exhausted after this last week. Just with some personal stuff, dealing with all of that. So I'll try to get around back to that again next weekend sometime. In the meantime, we've got some good stuff coming your way still. We got the new chapter of Gokurakugai, as well as Spy Family to get around to. So a little disclaimer, I have been kind of semi-spoiled on Gokurakugai, just because I saw a lot of people's reactions to the latest chapter, which were basically unsurprising, unfortunately. But we'll still get into it. We'll kind of talk about the chapter itself, I guess, and go through everything. But yeah, not really surprised with what I expect the result to be, but just a little disappointed. Well, let's see how it goes anyway with Gokurakugai chapter 31. I assume we'll get to the chapter title like somewhere near to the end. And I don't know that's supposed to be like one of the manga like Crystal Core or whatever's. But you see one and you see, I assume, Utsu having like this little like dream romance thing of like Alma when she first met him. And she's like watching, she's having like a little montage flashback to like her falling in love with him and all that. And then you see Almo just like after he took on the flame explosion from Flame Bro. And you see Utsu kind of just staring at him, and then she kind of like gets up and starts like running towards him. Yeah, that's what I expected. Yeah, I suppose that's her Maga core. So she runs in, intercepts the next blow from Flame Explosion Asshole. You see her core getting shattered as she blows. A huge hole gets blown open in her chest. You see Alma rushing forward to get her body as she's dissipating. He's like, why? And she's like, because it's fine if Utsu dies. And you see her just like starting to disintegrate. As Gokurakugai chapter 31, Because You Looked at Me, by Yuto Sano. Translation David Evelyn, lettering Kyla Aiko. Man, we could talk about this at the very end, I guess, but you see Flame Bro just kind of huffing out of breath as the other guards like pulling their guns on him. And he's like, you're still alive, you damn cockroach? People like you piss me off the most. You good for nothing bug. Were you gonna butt in until I exterminated you? What are you gonna do now, huh? I'm so pissed off. What are you gonna do about that? And you see Alma just standing up looking all menacing going, bring it. I'm gonna chop your ass up till I break your core. He's like, what's that? He's like, let's see you give it a try. And you see him as he's rushing forward to do his explosion. Alma just cuts, I assume, through his hand. And you see as it's regenerating, you see him slicing through it more as they're exchanging like a flurry of blows. And you see as his hand is like reaching for Alma's face, he kind of dodges out of the way and chops his head off. And there's still a huge explosion from his head that goes sent flying off. And as he's regenerating, you see Alma just kind of like pushing through the flames and smoke going after him. And the guard's like, this is nuts. He's like, you piece of shit. He's like, I don't have enough blood. Need blood. And you see the skitter as he sees a bunch of pills dropping out of his pocket. And he just reaches down and grabs... Oh, fuck, I can't remember. It's like, I feel like this was a couple of chapters back. He's like popping pills to get a power up, I think. But he just like grabs a bunch from the floor and swallows them down. And you see Alma cutting through his head as he does. And you see him just like regenerating an explosion of flame. He's like, I'm alive! He's like, I'm alive! Even though I drank so much of Mr. Yomi's blood. He's like, old man, I'll do my best. I'll be a part of the family. Just watch, Yahaya. I'm strong. I'm not some throwaway piece. And almost like savior screaming for hell as he just like, I will say, this is a good panel as he kind of just like runs forward like a huge overhead swing just bisects him. Sorry, let me just see if I can pull this up on the double screen here. We'll say the artwork and everything in this is still phenomenal as you see that. But yeah, Kyle slices right through him and he also starts disintegrating. And you see the little kid down below as he's just like going through and making a mess of all the guards, using all their own weapons to kill them. He's like, this Sao sure is taking forever. Is he dead? Well, whatever. I bet he died just as uselessly before too. If you're useless alive, then you're still useless dead. Fewer deadbeats is a good thing. Game pieces are meant to be used and thrown away after all. But yeah. So just fucking quick thoughts on the chapter. Man, like if I had a fucking nickel for, or if I had $1 for every time a woman, like Alma got close to a woman and then she fucking died because of MAGA stuff, and like Alma's all like torn up and broken up about it, I'd have 2, which is like, it's not a lot, etc., 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 but it's surprised it happened twice. I don't know, man. Like there's so much potential for Utsu to become like a more like complex and well-rounded character. And so for her to basically fridge for more Alma pain, more man pain in Gokurakugai, it's kind of a disappointment that this is supposedly like the end of her arc. Especially with the whole thing being like, oh, you were so nice to me, Alma, that's why I sacrificed myself for you. Like, it is just the tropiest of tropes, and it wasn't even handled well. It's kind of just like, going through like a numbered checklist, going through the motions. And I don't know what Sano is thinking with this. Like, I don't know what the end game or end goal of this is or was. And like, I don't know, man. Like, because Gokurakugai, I feel like it had such a great premise very early on in like the one-shot pilot it did before it became like the serialized series, where it was like an actual like monster of the week, kind of like case by case, like, they're gonna go around solving like mysteries, like helping people. I think that was more unique. I think the one shot had like them dealing with like a mermaid trafficking ring or something like that. But there was like, beast people and stuff like that. Like there's more fantasy elements mixed into the series. And I think if it had maintained that in the serialization instead of just going with like MAGA, which is like these nameless, like formless demons, except for the humanoid ones, I think that would have been a far more interesting hook than what we're currently getting with the series, especially since we're kind of just jumping from one part of the family to the next. Sorry, give me a second here. Sorry, my dogs are being dinks. But yeah, like I think it was a lot more compelling. Like the problem with this is we're kind of just jumping from like one big major antagonist to the other, and we're not really having a lot of breathing room between the arcs to see the characters kind of grow and develop and really get fleshed out a lot. I think that's the biggest weakness with Gokurakugai right now. Is like I love Tao for like Gunnar reasons, but I think her backstory also kind of like I think what the other thing is like given the fact we know her backstory and things, I think that gave her more depth than Alma currently has, and I feel like that's kind of the biggest weakness with the series right now. Is Alma's kind of just there. He's not really a super compelling personality or a character to be really super invested in, nor is his partnership with Tao like really super interesting or compelling with the way they kind of play off each other. And so I feel like that's the biggest weakness, like with so much focus on him and like his importance to the story. I think it feels like it's kind of dragging it a bit down. We haven't had a proper kind of like character arc or development for him thus far. And like again, that's why like it feels like Sano kind of just relies on like the bare basic trope of like, oh, a woman's gonna die for him to make him feel all like sad and conflicted and gonna make him angry, rather than like actually writing something more competent for him. So like I don't know, man. Like I'm really disappointed. Gokurakugai I feel like had a lot of potential, and I feel like it is really wasting it. And I feel like the only thing it has going for right now that really is carrying it is the art, which is the same. Which like I said, the art is always phenomenal, but the story is really, really holding it back. We're talking about like, the actual story elements. So I think this kind of confirms that the family is kind of like a literal family in that they all must have either drank a portion of this reminds me very much of Demon Slayer. It's like all the upper moons are like the ones that could handle like the greatest portion of Muzan's blood. Like they're the ones that imbibed the most of it, and that's why the upper ranks. It feels like that's the same way we're going with the family. It's like all of the top tier ones that are considered the actual family, the ones that have ingested most of Yomi's blood, which makes me also feel like and consider that like the reason he wants Alma is like Alma might be his actual like biological blood child, and that's why he wants him back into the thing. So we'll see what happens with that, but I don't know, man. This was definitely a massive, massive disappointment. I was kind of expecting better from this, but I guess it is what it is. So with all that said, I hope you all did enjoy this video. If you did, please do like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Like I mentioned, I'll get around to Spy Family today as well. And honestly, that might end up being the only series I cover on this channel going forward. Just because I feel like Shonen Jump just let me down too much. We'll see what happens with that. Like I mentioned, read-throughs will be back next weekend, so look forward to that. And until next time, this is Ash. Talk to you all later.